Attention, we are live in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. It's 2 p.m. Would like to call the July 19th, 2022 meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of Adjustment, Appeals and Examiners to order. We're going to do something a little different this time. I know the County Commission and Legislature start with an invocation on top of the Pledge of Allegiance. So we're going to stand for the pledge, remain standing for a short invocation. And then if you're going to give testimony for the oath. So please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For invocation, I'm going to do the first one, and then hopefully we'll take turns around the board members. Thank you, Father, for this time. We wish that you guide our hearts and our minds in your service. Amen. If you're going to give any testimony, please raise your right hand and answer the following question. Do you promise to affirm that any testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. If you have a cell phone, please turn it off or put it on silent. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sam Greenberg,
Here.
Mike McEnany,
Here.
Charles Foster,
Here.
Daniel Greenberg, Henry Mosley,
Here.
James Palavita,
Here.
Kathy Pratt. She's trying to join us online right now. Doug Shields,
I see his name, but don't hear him.
he does show present.
I see him on the screen, so.
Doug, can you hear us? I see you trying to unmute yourself, but you're already unmuted. You may need to exit out of the meeting and get back into the meeting.
Okay. Give him credit for showing up. Okay. Approval of minutes. Has everybody had opportunity to review the minutes? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Mosley, second.
Okay, Foster Mosley, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Any unfinished business? New business, Inspector Mr. Kent. Up first.
Good afternoon, board members. My first case is a continuation from the May hearing. It is an appeal of citation. Case number is 2020-0498, violator Landis Arroyo. And the address is 1605 Main Street, Valrico, Florida 33594. The allegations are that Landis Arroyo has failed to obtain permits for installation of accessory building and attached structures on the west side of property and moving accessory building from rear yard to side yard, and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 1051, permit required. Recommendations are that citation be affirmed as written, and a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed, and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance. The homeowners are present, and we'll invite them up to speak. And we also have a representative from zoning here to answer any questions regarding setbacks and zoning requirements.
Okay. Owner, please.
Yeah, I'll call you Sam.
You need an address, please.
1605 Main Street, Valrico, Florida 33594.
Your name.
Landis Arroyo.
Okay.
Do you have the articles I submitted to y'all?
Yes.
Okay. So it's two separate things here. If we deal with shed one, you see that the county is acknowledged on Article B, These are existing buildings and they're applying land development codes to existing buildings. These have had taxes paid on them, property taxes as far back as 2005 on that particular structure. And the says 3 foot from the property line, which it's 5 feet from the property line, as far as shed one is concerned. And what's actually been written up is the shed itself. Every time I contact them, they throw another issue in, or there's a driveway over here, or there's this or that. And my house has been crawling inspectors for years. I've had solar panels put on. I've had new windows put in the house, garage doors. The inspector's been all over my property for years doing things. There's never been a problem until somebody filed an anonymous complaint. And like I said, the way I'm seeing the code, it looks like that particular shed is well where it needs to be. But furthermore, my neighbors actually agreed to donate 2.5 feet of their property to me to move the fence line over if we need to satisfy the code requirement of, I believe it's 7.5 feet or something from the fence.
Right.
And so if we have to do that, we can do that. I had surveyors out yesterday for that particular issue to move that property line over.
Okay, and you referring to that as shed
one.
Shed one, okay. Any questions about shed one from anybody?
Sam, are we dealing with land development code or are we dealing with the building code?
It's building that's cited, but it's a violation apparently in land development also. So they're here if we have zoning questions.
But we don't make judgment on land development code issues, right?
Not typically. Right, we
So
typically
we're
deal only with the building code.
dealing with the building code issue, the
Right.
issue of there's no permit.
Hi, Travis Menace, Executive Manager of Building Inspections and Code Compliance. Yes, you'll be, what he's cited for is not getting permits for the buildings. The land development code is being cited in here as one of the reasons he wasn't able to obtain a permit. So it's just the background for why he hasn't been able to get a permit. So he will have to, conform to the land development code in order to get the permit issued and have a permit on the structure.
Either that or apply for a variance to the land development code.
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to make that clear. We're looking at the building code and the requirement for a building permit.
Correct.
Okay.
Which you can't get if you have setback issues or violations of LDC. Okay. You turned yourself off.
We're not making any determination on setbacks today.
Correct.
It's only the fact that whether a building permit is needed or a building permit is not needed.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And how are we differentiating between existing structures that since 2005, there's been property tax have been paid on and applying a land development code to something that's been there for all that time.
Okay.
And the county's even acknowledging this as an existing structure.
So it's existing and it was not moved.
Yeah, that one was not moved.
Okay. What's your
Taxes have been on that, paid on that since 2005.
What's your sense? If it hasn't moved and it's been there, if it was installed prior to you buying the property?
Yeah. There's been a shed in that spot.
Travis, typically the new owner inherits the sins of the previous owner.
Yes, Matthew Kent, co-compliance. We don't have a permit on record for that original building, but they were also subsequently attached via like a metal panel roof over breezeway, essentially between them.
Well, no, they're not attached at all. This is a self-standing structure and it has a little roof pans on front, like about 10 foot long. It's not attached to anything. There's no breezeway. That's just a structure in the yard.
Right. So there's a site plan.
Yes. Shed one is the one we're talking about.
Yes.
It's not attached to any part of the house. It's 20 feet away from the house, approximately. Either way, I'm willing to seek a permit. It's just this is my homestead and threat of fines and liens and all this stuff. I'm going through the processes. It takes a while and they keep rejecting things. And every time I email them, I get a response from a different person. And it's like a gang. Like somebody else comes on and they throw in a verb, a splurb, and then somebody else comes in and then they bring up something else. And I'm trying to address what's actually written up, which is a permit just for this structure. They're throwing in a driveway issue. They're throwing in a pan roof issue, all this stuff. I'm just trying to get the permit for that shed. I just had a brand new pool installed. Nobody said anything about holding up my pool permit because there's a shed over there. You know, every time I try to talk to them, they bring up something else that's not actually written up. The only thing that's written up is the actual shed permit, and that's what I'm trying to address. And I can't seem to make progress with them.
So you're willing to get an after the fact permit?
I'm willing to do it.
For shed one?
Yes, sir. I have no problem with that.
You're calling this a shed.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I look at the property appraiser's information,
Mm-hmm.
it's indicating that there's a bathroom, a bedroom.
Yeah. There's not a bedroom. It's just an open shed. It has running water and I have electricity in it.
It's got air conditioning, non-ducted.
Yeah, we use it
So
for
typically
storage.
that's not a shed.
We use it for storage. It is a shed.
Okay, well, you might want to get with the property appraiser because they've got you down for a bathroom,
Right. Right.
bedroom.
I have no say what they put though. That's, you know,
You might want to argue that point with them,
So, yeah.
you know, if you're just using it for a shed.
Yeah.
I mean, the way it looks right now, it could be used for an accessory dwelling,
Yeah.
you know?
But it's also on your sketch, it's saying that it's 11 by 12?
And no, it's 12 by 32.
Okay, because it says shed 1R area 11, but
I think that's the roof in front, the little panel
okay.
they're talking about.
So it's in excess of the 150 square feet.
Correct. The shed itself, I believe, is approximately 360 square feet.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm fine to do it. I just need some time to get it done. That's all.
Okay, and you want to talk about the second shed at this point?
Yeah, the second shed has been in the yard for years and it moved. If you look at Exhibit D, shed 2, they're saying is no longer, it was right where the pool, the porch and back, the pool is there now. So the shed got moved over to its current location, which the code talks about, the rear face of the building being the backyard. They're saying that I no longer have a backyard. That's my front yard. It is a corner lot. And I understand that there's a front and then there's a side yard that can be considered a front yard too. However, this is still the rear face of the building. That's still in my backyard. You're trying to tell me a house built in 1951 no longer has a backyard in that area. Like I said, I just think there should be a little bit of variance there that is the rear face of the structure as defined by the code.
Okay, so you just touched on it right there, man, variance. This is a land use issue. You don't have a permit for it, that's what we can address.
Right.
As somebody who looks at zoning issues and setbacks for my work, it's not a 5-minute exercise.
Right.
So I don't think anybody here is going to be prepared to step on zoning here. There's no permits, you got power, you got water hooked up to it.
Right, but they're saying that's not my backyard. They're saying that's my
That's
front yard.
That's a zoning
It's
issue.
behind my house and they're saying it's my front yard.
Zoning issue.
Okay, so any other questions? Anybody? I don't think we need to hear from zoning or LDC. So it's just a matter of the homeowners indicated he's willing to do what it takes to get these things permitted. He just needs some more time.
Yeah, I need 6 months to get all this going, to get something they agree on from, and I just need one person to deal with. They keep throwing random people into the mix and they have a different answer.
Okay, I know my concern is the violation was issued in September of 2020. I know we've been through COVID. It's still going on. So what's your pleasure, board members?
I'll make a motion to give the applicant 6 months to obtain a building permit.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Get her done.
Yeah, Matthew Kent again, Hillsborough County Code Compliance. My next case is HC-CMP-21-0000028. Violator is Angel Santana. The address 9721 Van Street, Tampa, Florida 33615. Allegations are that Angel Santana has failed to obtain permits for the construction of a large carport, detached metal garage, and accessory storage building, and is in willful deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 105.1 permit required. Recommendations are that citation be affirmed as written, a fine of $500 and a reporting fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Okay. Motion to affirm.
Motion to affirm.
Foster and McEnany, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
I'd like to request a clarification on that last order. Is it 6 months and he'll come back, or 6 months and we move to affirm?
It's 6 months from the date of the order being issued, which probably be a week or two from after I sign it. So it's from that date forward. And if he obtains the permit, he's done.
Okay, got it. And if he doesn't, does he come back in front of the board?
Then he's going to have to come back. You have to bring the case back.
Okay, appreciate it.
No problem.
My next case is HC-CMP-21-0000558. Violator is Landmark 3 LLC. The address is 113 South Parsons Avenue, Brandon, Florida 33511. Allegations are that Landmark 3 LLC has failed to obtain a permit for a commercial change of use from retail to a restaurant and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 105.1 permit required. Recommendations are that citation be affirmed as written and a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Motion to affirm.
Motion to affirm.
Second. Alaveda and Foster. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Next case is HC-CMP-21-0000640. Violator is Arias Construction LLC. The address is 12209 North Nebraska Avenue, Tampa, Florida 33612. Allegations that Arias Construction LLC has failed to obtain permits for construction of a metal accessory building with electrical and remodeling of existing buildings, including framing, plumbing, electrical, and replacing exterior doors and windows and new stucco, and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 105.1 permit required. Recommendations that citation be affirmed as written, a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Motion to affirm.
Affirm.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Shields, I'm sorry.
Huh? Doug?
Yes, sir.
You made the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Doug and Foster was second. Any discussion? All those in
Yeah.
favor say aye.
Yeah, Mosley has a question.
Okay.
You know, all that wiring, that looks pretty dangerous. I know that we don't have anybody on the electrical. Devers would have had a cow over this if he was looking at these pictures. Is there somebody that can review the safety issues out there and maybe pull the meter if they had to kind of get this thing moving?
I believe the meter's already been pulled.
Okay.
I can confirm that, but absolutely we can get code enforcement involved to address any safety
Right.
issue.
We can ask the building official and make sure the power is disconnected.
Okay. That was it. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Next.
Next case is HC-CMP-21-0000676. I need to make a correction to the violator's name. The Middle name I have is Garcia. It's actually Garriga. Violators Ivelis, Garriga, Vazquez. Address 6215 Virginia Lane, Sefner, Florida 33584. Allegations are Ivelis, Garriga, Vazquez has failed to obtain permits for a detached garage and accessory building on north side of the property and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 105.1 permit required. Recommendations are the citation be affirmed as written and a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Motion to affirm.
Motion to affirm.
Second. Palavita and Foster, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, board members. That was all I have for you today.
Mr. Roman.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Daniel Roman, Hillsborough County Code Compliance Inspector. The case I have for you, it's case number HC-CMP-21-000030. The violator is Ruben, Fernandez, and Carazana. The address is 6209 Blossom Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614. The allegations are Ruben Fernandez and Carazana has failed to obtain permit for the accessory unit located on the rear of the property and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinance, Part A, HCCO as follows. 105.1 permit required. Recommendations. Citation be affirmed as written. A fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Okay, motion.
Motion to affirm. Second.
Okay, Foster and Palavita. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Finley. Before you start, let me just say one thing. These next two cases are affidavit of violation. So this is different than affirmation. And hopefully by the next meeting, we're going to have between Cherie and Kimber, we're going to have like some notes for all y'all so that to differentiate between the different types of cases and how the operation goes. So this is one where staff will present the case. If the violator is here, they get a chance to defend. Then we vote on it in pieces if there's a, innocent or guilty of the charges, and then there's a disciplinary phase or penalty phase, if you will. So that's what we're doing, just so everybody's tuned in.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Ricky Finley. I'm a code compliance inspector with Hillsborough County Building Department. My first affidavit today is case number HC-CMP-22-00000120. Violator is Thomas Teffenhart, doing business as Commercial and Residential Allume and Fab LLC, license number CGC 058897. The address of violation is 717 Pinckney Drive, Apollo Beach, Florida, 33572. Allegations: Thomas Teffenhart, doing business as Commercial Residential Allume and Fab LLC, license number CGC 058897, has failed to provide fall protection in the construction of a pool screen enclosure and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO, and the Florida Residential Building Code as follows. HCCCO 113.6.2, grounds for revocation or suspension. The following shall be grounds for disciplinary action, sorry about that, against a contractor by any board of adjustments, appeals, and examiners, and shall not be affected by the lapse or suspension of a contractor certificate by operation of law, by order of the Board of Adjustment and Appeals and Examiners, by order of the court, or by voluntary surrender of the certificate by the holder. Number 18, allowing any violation of this code to go uncorrected for more than 30 consecutive days. And Florida Building Code Residential 312.1.1, where required, guards shall be provided for those portions of open-sided walking surfaces, including stairs, ramps, and landings that are located more than 30 inches, measured vertically to the floor or grade below at any point within 24 inches horizontally to the edge of the open side. Insect screening shall not be considered as a guard. And Florida Building Code Residential 312.1.3, required guards shall not have openings that allow passage of a spear 4 inches in diameter. Recommendations: citation be affirmed as written, a fine of $500 and recording fee be assessed. The contractor's permitting privileges be suspended in Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, City of Plant City, and City of Temple Terrace for 60 days or until property is brought into compliance. And the Construction and Electrical Industry Licensing Board be notified of this board's actions. I do believe the homeowner is present, but I have not seen that the contractor is online or present.
Okay.
Oh, he is. I see him up there now. I do have a timeline of events for this. This kind of went back and forth between the homeowner and contractor. It was with our building inspectors for a while because it failed inspection. The contractors had stated that the homeowner wasn't allowing them to come back and fix the violation. It went back and forth for a while and then came over to the code compliance section. So we sent a violation to both homeowner and to the contractor. The contractor says that they got some paper signed saying that they wouldn't be responsible for this violation, and some other back and forth that I'll let both of them tell their sides on this.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
Yeah,
Okay.
just out of curiosity, like, so how did this come to you? Was it because this is a new metal screen closure?
It was new and it failed inspection. And then after quite a long back and forth, the contractor started getting a hold of the county asking how he could get his name off the permit with it being in a disapproved status and the permit wasn't closed. And we don't have the authority, and that's why we brought it to the board, saying that you guys would be the only authority that could remove them from a disapproved permit.
Gotcha. And just, was the pool part of that new work too, or just enclosure?
Just the enclosure is all that's in this case.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, let's hear from the contractor first, please. Your name and address.
Good afternoon. This is Stephen Reese with the law firm of Icard Merrill, representing CRA Aluminum Fab LLC. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. As staff has summarized quite well the status here that dates back a little over a year and a half. And the contractor respectfully requests the board grant its request to remove itself from the permit. Staff has indicated that was not an action that could be completed at the administrative level and had to be performed by the board. The timeline of events in the staff packet accurately reflect the contractor's involvement to date, the inability of the contractor to bring the property into compliance. Respectfully request be removed from the permit as the contractor of record. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, their scope of work was to put up the pool cage. Did they provide the drawings? Did they obtain the permit? Did they do the engineering? Whose fingers are on which part of the puzzle?
Yes, from my understanding, and I do have to admit, Patrick Seidensticker in my office is the attorney of record who was handling this and was unavailable to handle this hearing today. So I'm in his place today. So I don't have all the answers for you, and I apologize, but my understanding from reviewing the record is, yes, CRA, the contractor, is who pulled the permit, who prepared the drawings, but also who discussed with the homeowner as early as March of 2021 that the requested modifications to the fall protection zone likely would not meet code enforcement or code compliance, and therefore wanted written acknowledgement from the homeowner that the homeowner was taking the actions upon themselves. Again, leading to where we are today. We do not have the ability to force the improvements per code. The homeowner is, I believe, investigating other options, and per the record, continues to work with your staff to evaluate those other options. But again, our request today would just be to be removed from the contractor of record. We're unable to perform at this point.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
What is the status of the permit other than not having the required guards? Did everything else pass?
Yes.
Okay, so we're down to that one issue, which is just the guards.
Yes, the fall protection.
Okay, thank you.
Do we know if the original drawings had the fall protection in them?
No, the original drawings did not, and then they did a revision to the plan. And there isn't a revision in there now that has the fall protection on there. And that's one of the complaints from the homeowners, that originally it wasn't on the plan. There was some other back and forth that, some surrounding areas didn't have the same fall protection. We didn't look into any of those. They could be past inspection and be removed after we pass the inspection. So we don't know any of that. But then the homeowner has also sent in some alternative options that were all denied by the building official of different methods to use.
Okay, any other questions so far?
The homeowner. To us.
To staff.
To us at the county, asking if these would work, as he was willing to do something. He just wanted some alternate methods to maybe get the view not blocked as much, or whatever the case may be. He sent in some alternate methods that were all denied.
Ordinarily, when the slab is raised like it is here, would the aluminum contractor be responsible for fall protection? Or is that more of a general contractor type situation?
No, I believe the contractor on the permit would be responsible for that scope of building that screen enclosure. They would be responsible for that fall protection because it's on the bottom course of the screen itself where the fall protection needs to be.
And just so you know, Sam, you asked the question about was it on the original drawings. There was no elevation difference shown on the original drawings that would include a plan examiner in to notifying the permit that it needed fall protection.
And was the pool was permitted separately from the original house plans? Or we don't know.
The homeowner can answer that when he gets up here. Yeah, I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions so far? Homeowner, please.
Yep.
Your
Okay.
name and address, please.
Mike Wiles, 717 Pinckney Drive, Apollo Beach. I bought this house. Well, I went under contract in this house March 2020. Fortunately, I was part of the group in Mirror Bay that had the pleasure of dealing with OB and a whole bunch of his cronies on building houses out there. So we have a lot of permit and violations and all kinds of stuff that somehow slipped through the crack and got approved, and we're reaping the benefit of that. All that being said, is I bought this house and I did not contract the screen people. The pool people did. The pool people had that in one separate package to pay for the pool, the screen, and everything else. Original drawings that were submitted for the pool are wrong. The original one for the screen are wrong. They all came back and had multiple revisions along the way. Okay. Once all that was done, supposedly, they got paid from the contractor when I closed. So it wasn't even before, I didn't even own this house when they were working on it. So it's not, that's less me than it is them. But once it was finally done, there was just a regular screen like you see on every single one, just one bar. If you've been out to that area, every house in Mirror Bay has the exact same screen on the property. And they all had the same wall. So I don't know how the wall changed, but we all have the same screen, we all have the same wall, they all have the same space between it. So when they came out and finished, we thought it was all done. I didn't even know the permit wasn't closed. I was calling the contractor for 6 months because part of that agreement was they would put 2020 screen in. I never even heard about this permit problem until 6 months after I called, and then the attorney can look it up. I emailed everybody in that company at CRA to get a hold of somebody for almost 6 months because the screens were getting eaten alive. And that's the only reason I even agreed to talk to them on this whole issue. So they came out and said, okay, well, we got to put an extra rail in. I said, okay, put another rail in. But I want you to fix the screen while you're out here. And they said, well, okay. Finally came out and did it. Then they left. No issue. Then I said, okay, that's fine, let's do it. They said right before they were coming out to do it, after all this stuff, they said, oh, it's got to be this other one. It's got to be these slats every couple inches. And I'm like, that's not anything that we've ever talked about. I'd be the only house in the entire neighborhood with that particular thing. It doesn't make sense. There has to be alternative solutions to this problem. And they said, no. And they said, well, the only way we're going to come out here and do your screen, because the only thing I care about is the screen, because bugs are no joke out there. And they said, here, you got to sign this form for us to be able to fix your screen. I signed the form and we moved on. And then we came back a year later. Now it's it's July. It's been almost 2 years since I bought this house. And I have baby gate stuff. I have a double rail. I have all that stuff. And it's still not enough because it's not slats that are equally don't make any sense. So that's where we're at. As far as the permitting, they were all attached. So that didn't have anything to do with the design, didn't have anything to do with the screen. They were all approved, supposedly, until they weren't approved after they got installed. So I don't know what's going on, but that's how we're just reaping the benefit of someone else doing something poorly.
So question, so all right, so you bought this house from a builder new?
Yeah. And all this was supposed to be done. Like it was actually supposed to be done in May when I sold my house from Jacksonville and moved here. I sat in a rental for 2 months. So pretty much they could have, after 2 months with my wife and kid in a small rental, they could have asked me to do anything at that point to move in. But that's what happened. And that's where we're at today.
So I got a question for the board. Is this even on the aluminum contractor at this point?
That's
He was
first to
contracted by the
discuss.
pool guy who was contracted by the builder. I think this is on the builder.
I think it falls on the aluminum enclosure contractor. He's the one that pulled the permit. And the code is pretty clear. You know, when you're above 30 inches above the adjacent grade, you got to have the guards.
Yeah, the code's very clear. I'm just curious, like, whose responsibility is it? If I'm the pool contractor and I hired the aluminum sub to come out and do a cage,
It's the guy that pulls the permit.
we would be the pool contractor or the builder.
No, the pool contractor didn't pull the screen enclosure permit. You got to have a separate contractor to do that. He may have been a sub of a sub of a sub, but it's still the aluminum contractor's permit. So they're required, you know, to comply with code as far as their scope of work goes.
Well, okay. Let's say there's no aluminum enclosure. You still have the same code violation.
Yeah, you still have to have the guards where you've got 30 inches of difference or greater.
Yeah. So I think that's the pool guy then at that point. The aluminum contractor is coming in after the fact. It's already a violation.
Well, apparently the pool contractor must have assumed that the aluminum contractor was going to deal with that when he built the enclosure. You know, I mean, the code is pretty clear. You can't have the screen as your fall protection or your guards.
I agree. I'm just looking to see like who's really at fault.
Well, I tell you, pool drawings going to a screen company almost never have any elevation differences, especially when you're not building on a property that's already leveled out and stuff. So you don't really know exactly where that elevation is going to be. However, a point you make, Dan, is that had they double checked the builder, the pool builder, and the home builder, because the home builder is probably contracting with the pool builder. Is that correct on this? Did the pool builder contract with the home builder?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, then the pool builder could have dropped the elevation down 6 inches or 12 inches, had step downs going down that way. But a screen company they may pull that permit prior to any final grading or whatever. So
Well, the
goes back to you. I think it's either the pool.
One quick thing on that, there
home
was a change. Sorry on that. There was a change elevation. The grass was done when they did that and all that was back there. Problem was they came and ripped out the seawalls and it dropped the elevation out there like probably 6-7 inches just from when they raped the seawall, because my other neighbors we all have different ones now. So everything changed, and that didn't happen for a year after I owned the house. So there's all kinds of weird stuff going on.
Well, and then there might be different elevations at these different houses in that neighborhood. So how close they are to the seawall, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and from what I see, you're pretty close to the seawall.
Yeah, we're all like that. We're all right. We're all like, I think it's like, whatever the requirement is, but there's like a 3-foot stretch between the seawall and the back.
There's a 5-foot easement behind your house to the seawall, so the association is supposed to be able to maintain the seawall cap and get in there and mow the grass.
Right. So whatever, well, they don't mow the grass, but anyways, they, on that whole wall, that changed dramatically a year ago. So that's not even what would have failed it 2 years ago.
When you say the wall change, which wall changed?
The seawall. The seawalls were all ripped out.
Right. They replaced the vinyl because they were too short and redid them.
Right. So that changed our elevation, changed how far, it changed everything. So.
And for clarification, the pool permit was an NPO that was issued 3/9 of 2020. This was just a screen enclosure permit that was issued 6/25 of 2020. So about 3 months after the pool permit was issued.
Was the pool final before the screen was issued? We know.
Pretty sure the pool passed with just the baby gates up because that permit guy came out. So, and I have baby gates, they passed that one. And now that I have the screen up, I can't just put up the baby gates and the screen. So now I have 2 layers of protection. It doesn't, when the permitter guy came out for the pool to clear it, because they did clear that one, all he said is I had the baby gates up and everything was great. Now I have a screen and I have the baby gates and that still doesn't pass.
No, the pool final was 7/24 of 2020. So about a month after the screen permit was issued.
But the screen guy, with common sense, would have maybe seen the site and go, hey, this is higher than 12 inches and I need a guardrail.
And I'm sure, I can't state the pool contractor may have thought, well, they're working on the screen enclosure currently, so it's going to be on them to put the safety rail up. I can't speculate, but
right.
It was all happening at the same time, basically.
I've heard conversations back and forth with other companies like the screen guy saying there has to be something up. And they're going back and forth with the pool company. This is not with the home builder, but why should I have to pay for that? I gave you the price on this. You need to pay for that. So I don't know where you go on that in a way. Somebody's got to do it, but they may have said, this is the screen we want. It's going to be bronze. It's going to be 2 doors. It's going to be the Vista and all that sort of thing. So where do you go when the screen, the screen guy is putting it up without the final grade? Again, sometimes the grade can be, in that case, raised up, make it 24 inches, but probably not in this case. It's too close.
Yeah, drop down, not up.
I've got a simple solution that will solve your guardrail problem. It doesn't necessarily solve your contractor issue. But I would just put a raised planter outside.
You can't. He doesn't have room.
He's got plenty of room.
No, he doesn't.
Sure. You need 3 feet off that wall.
Okay? Yeah. Well, so, the only problem that we've had with that, because I've talked to these guys a lot, trying to come up with, because I only heard from this contractor when I harassed them to the point that their lawyer actually got involved because they wouldn't return phone calls because I didn't have a deal with them. I wasn't the person who signed it. And all I cared about the screen at the moment. So I'm not saying it was about this. And then after they did the work, I haven't heard from them again. So there is no version of this where me and them have had any conversations other than what's it going to take for you guys to come out and replace the screen because we're getting eaten alive out here.
How far is your pool retaining wall from the seawall? 5 feet?
It's gotta be, I don't know. I don't know. So these guys came out and measured.
This is Mirror Bay. It's the seawall.
Oh,
And-
okay. All
And
right,
I
that
had
looks like
talked
a
to Pete
sidewalk
about
to me.
this case because I've looked at several of those in Mirror Bay, and you can't do a planner. We had a deck statement through the Florida Building Commission that was involved in Lee County down in Fort Myers. The building official wanted it to be less than 30 inches, 3 feet away from the retaining wall. But the code says 24, so we upheld the homeowner's option rather than the building official and said, you want to change it? Next version of the code, have at it. But it's within 24 inches of that wall. You can't be more than 30-inch drop. So we've done that. On my block, we designed a house for somebody, and we had planners that went out 2 feet, and it's only 12 inches to the planner, and we didn't have to have the guards. So at this point, though, the only question is who's responsible for the guard. The aluminum guy wants off the case. The homeowner said he's willing to work with staff. Staff has indicated there's not a lot of options.
Well, I brought up to them already. I said, the code only says that you can't pass objects. And then I brought up the alternative at the end, said, look, you can't pass, the screen doesn't work and you can't pass an object. So I sent to them multiple ones where it was screening, where it was just basically they have like a hard mesh privacy screen. You can't pass objects through that too. And it's not a screen. They said that doesn't work. And then I offered them, what about we put the steel cables around there? Because I don't have the ability to come in and do the screen anyways. You can't buy the stuff they're using. I can't buy it to replace this because I haven't heard from them since. So as this became more of a problem, I started coming up with alternative solutions to meet the 4-inch code or to make it where objects can't pass. But up to this point, everything I've sent in has said no. And I don't have the ability to come. I haven't been looking up aluminum screen people that could put up the little things. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense why this was done wrong from day one. Everything about the screen's wrong. And I don't know the right answer for you guys, but at this point, I've got a mess that's been going on for 2 years. And
What was the issue with the aircraft cable not being acceptable?
I don't know. They said that I'd have to put a whole nother permit in. I'm like, I didn't do the original permit. So why am I? You want me to fix the problem? I'm giving you like 3 or 4 different options to fix the problem, and nobody likes my options. The only option was to do that.
Is there something that was submitted to the building official requesting that you use the aircraft cable and the building official turned you down?
He sent emails to us who Travis sent to John. Normally, we make them go through a form of alternative method to get to the building official.
Yeah, and the aircraft cable, the stainless steel cable is fine as long as it meets the guidelines for fall protection. The other one he sent in was putting a pool safety fence along, which does not meet the guidelines for fall safety. So that's the only thing he has to do is meet the guidelines and turn in whatever he's going to put up there and show that it's engineered to meet the amount of pressure it has to meet fall protection.
50 pounds per foot and 200 pounds at any one point is what the code talks about.
Right. But all along, this is a problem I'm inheriting from a builder that I bought a great home from. So I mean, if someone's going to fix it, they should just done it right the first time. So if it was wrong before I even owned it.
What kind of method was the pool contractor, the screen enclosure contractor proposing for the guards or the fall protection? Do you remember?
Originally or the amendment?
Whatever would take.
Originally, there was nothing. I never even talked to the people. They just showed up and started doing it one day. So I have no idea what they originally came up with. I just know that it was,
Because they're saying you won't allow them on your property to make these repairs.
No, so the first time they came out, they showed up, there was nothing. 6-7 months later, because they didn't do this, they put another long row in our house. So you have the top one and now you have a second one that's like 12 inches, the difference, right? They took the middle. They did that because we came up with an alternate plan. They said, yeah, sure, that's not a problem. The pool people only people I've never had contact with them normally. I was talking to pool people. Pool people said, yeah, that should be fine. Cut it in half because there are other homes in Mirror Bay that have two straight lines across. Nobody has this, that, and the other. And there are houses that are same elevation, same everything else as mine. So we'll skip that part. But they came in and did an alternate plan and put the second line in there. It still didn't pass. And you know, and since then, I didn't hear from him again. I've never talked to them until the attorney contacted me a couple days ago and said he's gonna hit me with legal fees. I said, no, you're not.
Is the
So-
screen enclosure contractor willing to make
I have no idea. I haven't never.
make the repairs?
The attorney's on the phone.
I'd have to discuss with my client whether or not they would continue with the representation of the homeowner, but I understand the sole request today was to be removed from this permit. If the homeowner wanted to work with an alternate contractor, that would of course be his option. And I believe the Florida Building Code may even allow him to perform the services as his own homeowner contractor.
No, the reason you're in front of the board today is because you failed to comply with code. So we need to know, is the aluminum contractor willing to make the required repairs to meet code? Yes or no? That's the bottom line we need to know.
And again, I would have to see what those repairs are. If there's been an alternate submitted that the homeowner's been working on, I would need to discuss that with my client. Again, I've been instructed today just to request removal of the contractor from this permit.
If they had done it right the first time, we wouldn't even be here. It's 2 years of dealing with it. I've fixed so much stuff that they somehow missed. So I'm over it.
Okay. So in front of us is the request from the contractor to be removed from the permit. From everything I've heard as one vote, I don't see where that's possible. So I'd entertain a motion to deny the contractor's request to be removed from the permit.
I'd like to make a motion to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll make a motion to deny the contractor's request because I don't see how that could happen either.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that point?
Yeah, I understand where my colleagues are at here. I think this is on the home builder personally. They're responsible for the whole product to the customer. They're responsible for passing the inspections at the end of the day, as they're the primary contractor. And if this home didn't have a pool cage, the aluminum guy wouldn't be here today. The homeowner, sorry, but I think your solution, I don't think the aluminum guys can help you with. You need a rail. You need a guardrail. And
That's
the
what
aluminum
they do.
guys don't do that.
No, they do. They switched out for the upstairs balcony when they came out. They did switch that whole thing out. They have the aluminum. All they do is they change them out to those long ones. They did all that. They did one for an upstairs balcony. They did that right. As far as the pool one, they didn't do it right from the beginning because they do have them, and the aluminum that they put in the long rail looks junky anyways because they did a half job just to get out of there. So.
Well, from what I'm seeing from the pictures, you need a rail in behind this thing inside the pool fence if you can't do a planter. And maybe that's something the aluminum guys can do. I don't know, but it's not part of a pool cage.
I don't know what pictures you have, but if you look at the upstairs, if you just look right up top of the pool, there is exactly that. And they actually did it.
We're not here to redesign this, are we?
No.
Yeah, no.
The question is, and the motion is with a second, do we want to release the contractor from the permit? We wanted to, yeah, and the motion is to deny his request to be removed from the permit. Okay, any other constructive comments?
Well, I'd like to make one, and that's to back up Dan on his reasoning on this. And the other thing, as I mentioned before, a screen company may put a permit in before there's final grading or anything else. They don't know the elevations or any of this.
The risks of being a contractor.
Well, the pool company or whoever did that needs to go ahead and give them the proper elevations and say, we don't have just this.
Hey, just so you know, that was already done. The elevation was already graded, that the grass is already down.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
Not at the time of the
All right,
permitting.
I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of the motion to not allow the contractor out of the permit, say aye.
Aye.
Those against the motion, say aye.
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 Okay. Can you poll us, please, since we can't see hands, Timber?
Yes. Sam Greenberg,
Aye.
Mike McEnany,
Aye.
Charles Foster,
Nay.
Daniel Greenberg,
Nay.
Henry Mosley,
Aye.
James Palavita,
Aye.
Kathy Pratt.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion passes. Contractor is not.
Kathy, she didn't call me. Sam.
Doug?
She didn't call Doug, and I'm
You didn't
aye.
call Doug.
And I'm an aye.
Oh, my apologies. Doug Shields,
He said
Aye.
no. So how many no's do you have? 3?
3.
Motion passes. It's only 7 vote, and everybody can participate, but only 7 get to vote. So the ayes have it. So the contractor will not be removed from the permit as his request. Now, in all fairness to the contractor who's not here, and nothing personal, but you're the alternate representation, in ultimate fairness, he really needs to either be here, or the attorney that's more familiar with the case needs to be involved. So is the board really willing to table this at this point so they can properly prepare themselves, or what would you like to do?
Mosley would like to make a motion to table for at least 60 days to give the contractor a chance to address the issue and get his representation straight.
I'll second.
And Foster seconds. Everybody was properly noticed for this, Kimber?
Yes, they're present.
Okay. What?
Yeah, we were actually contacted by a different attorney, probably about a month and a half ago. I have it in the timeline here, but they all got their notices for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to bend over backwards. We've done this for everybody else, and you got to be fair, treat everybody the same. And he doesn't have his proper representation, at least in my mind. And the attorney even admitted he's the pitch hitter, or whatever you'd call it. So have a motion to table for 60 days. Do I have any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to table for 60 days, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so to the contractor, be prepared. In 60 days, we only table once. So get your ducks in row, in order, work with staff, and we'll do this again and hopefully get it resolved. But the burden in our mind at this point is all on the screen enclosure guy.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
All right, my next affidavit is case number HC-CMP-22-00000153. The violator is Jimmy Franceschini, doing business as EJ Cons and Roofing LLC. Prior license number RC 0067142. Address of violation, 7510 Tidewater Trail, Tampa, Florida, 33619. Allegations, Jimmy Franceschini, doing business as EJ Cons and Roofing LLC. License number RC 0067142, has allowed a violation to go uncorrected for more than 30 days and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 113.6.2, grounds for revocation or suspension. The following shall be grounds for disciplinary action. Got it that time. Against a contractor by any board of adjustment, appeals, and examiners, and shall not be affected by the lapse or suspension of a contractor's certificate by operation of law, by order of the Board of Adjustment, Appeals, and Examiners, by order of a court, or by voluntary surrender of a certificate by the holder. Number 18, allowing any violation of this code to go uncorrected for more than 30 consecutive days. Recommendations is that a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed, that the contractor's permitting privileges be suspended in Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, City of Plant City, and City of Temple Terrace for 60 days or until property is brought into compliance. Also, the Construction and Electrical Industry Licensing Board be notified of the board's action. I have some timelines on this one. Also, this morning I met with our building chief, Pete Ohms, because this isn't the first time we've had this guy in front of the board. He had a board order in 2016 where the board affirmed a $1,500 citation and suspended his license. He complied that case in 2017. The case started in 2014 and finally was complied in 2017. He's also had another 2012 case that was complied. Currently, we found 371 expired permits in our old Permits Plus system. We have 41 converted permits from the old system to the new system, and most of those are expired, along with 68 other expired permits in our Excella system currently. The 371 expired permits were from 2016 to 2021, and the 68 expired permits that are current are from 2021 until now. We also have another case from one of our other inspectors that will be coming to the board if things aren't taken care of. So I just wanted to bring some of that to the attention. I don't believe the homeowners were able to come. They sent an email saying due to work that they may not be able to make it, but the contractor, Jimmy Franceschini, is here.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, what exactly were the code violations against the contractor?
This one was for allowing a violation to go uncorrected, but the permit failed for FBC 110.5, work not ready for inspection shall be the duty of the holder of the building permit or their duly authorized agent to notify the building official when work is ready for inspection. And the comments by our inspector were several low spots in the roof are holding water and allowing water to penetrate into the house. Homeowner states that the nails used in the application have penetrated their ceiling. Homeowner states that they have water damage from the roof at the areas where water is ponding. A lead vent boot has not been installed on one pipe, and homeowner states the roofing contractor has been unresponsive to calls and complaints. That's what the inspection was failed for.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Other button, Mike.
Didn't I see where they failed to get a drying inspection too?
It was disapproved, but now there has been a mitigation form that was uploaded into the permit. It just was never called back in to be looked at. But they do have a roof mitigation form in the permit now. The permit was expired. When I started this case, I had called someone, and one time I got response from maybe Jimmy, but it was the number that I had on the permit for the contractor. I called and said, hey, this permit's expired. You need to get it reissued and get these things corrected. Well, they reissued the permit, and I think at that time is when they uploaded the roof mitigation form, but it was disapproved initially because the roof mitigation form was not on the permit.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Contractor, please. Your name and address, please.
Jimmy Franceschini,
Your address.
7106 Kingsbury Circle, Tampa, Florida.
Thank you. What can you tell us?
Well, this roof design is, I never seen these homes like that. They have these 4x4 beams at 5 foot, every 5 foot. And then it has 2x2s going this way, and the plywood, it goes right on. It doesn't have no attic space. And the span is 5 feet. And we changed 30 sheets of plywood. And after we put them, they kind of warp, because of the weight. The structure design is not the code, And that torch down, it doesn't leak. That once we torch that roof and the underlayment, you don't get no leaks on that. And the owner want us to lift up the roof, but that's a total different permit. You know, we have to get engineering and, you know, and I don't know how to please them, you know. And now that we have a new system, the TPO, it's a wrap off you put on the roof, and you know, and the flat roofs always get a little puddle, and eventually it evaporates, you know. So
Did you tear off the original roof?
yes.
Or did you go over the top of it?
No, we tear it off, and it was all rotten. We had to change plywood on it.
Right. I saw the configuration of the roof,
Mhm.
and it is weird.
Yeah.
There's some low spots in there, but the complaint says that they had roof leaks and they got water damage in their ceiling. So it sounds like the roof is leaking.
We need to go out there and check, and he needs to let us go inside the house. He won't let us go inside the house.
Why not?
I don't know.
How long has this been going on?
Since we did the roof, and the guy, he went on vacation, and I said, the man over there to solve the problem, and he won't let him go in the house.
How long was it? A year? 6 months?
No.
6 days?
No, it wasn't that long ago.
They had an inspection. Evan Spock was there on 8/27/21. So that's 10/13. That's how is that? 4 and 6 is 10 months ago.
10 months ago.
Yeah. The permit was filed on 6/12/21 was the permit issue date.
So it's a year ago.
Right. And the thing is this, when you tore off the roof, what was the plywood that you had?
¿Cuántos meses?
Hang on.
About 6 months ago, he was.
Okay, we figured it out. What'd you say, Doug?
When you tore the roof off, what was the roof deck consisted of? Was it plywood?
Was there plywood under the original roof?
Yes, sir.
What size plywood with that big of a span? Was it, did you go back with 1/2 inch?
Yeah, with the 1/2 inch, yes.
You probably should have gone back with 3/4, you know, to help with that span. But you just can't shoot nails through the guy's ceiling. The torch down material is not made for ponding water whatsoever. It's for a sloped roof. If the roof condition is not sloped, the code says you have to create positive drainage. If the roof ponds for more than the manufacturer, what manufacturer did you use? Was it Certainty? What modified torch down did you buy?
I think Manville.
Well, that's a 48-hour. It's a 48-hour warranty on that. If the water ponds for more than 48 hours, the warranty is non-existent. The manufacturer's warranty supersedes the county or the city code. So if that water ponds on that roof for more than 48 hours, that's a code violation. Then in one of your pictures, they asked you to go back and put a lead boot on, and you went back and put a shingle around the lead boot. That shingle is made out of fiberglass material. You cannot go back and put a lead boot and put a shingle around it. You can see in the one picture, you put a shingle around the lead boot, and around the 10-inch hooded vent next to it, you put the proper patch of modified that you was torched down. And there's just so many code violations here, Jimmy, that and I'm not being disrespectful. This is just you put the wrong product down. And if it is going to pond water, that's the contractor's responsibility to say, hey, I think this is going to pond. I've got to get some positive drainage here. TPO system can actually, their warranties stay in effect for ponding water. But if you're going to put this modified on there, and if you can't sell the guy to a product that's going to get warranty, then you shouldn't do the job. But if you're going to put torch down on this guy's roof, you just can't do it if it's going to pond water for more than 48 hours. That's against the code.
Plus, he's lucky he didn't burn the house down.
Yeah, Was this a Armstrong roof decking? See, there's this stuff that's called, it's usually that 4 or 5 foot span is an Armstrong roof decking that was there originally. And I'm willing to bet money that it had Armstrong roof decking prior to this one. And if you go into certain locations of this roof, I bet it had Armstrong roof decking, which spanned those areas. And that's like a 3-inch insulation board. That's the ceiling and it's the roof deck. It takes place of both products. It does the deck of the roof, and you can put in proper fasteners into it that don't go into the ceiling.
Okay. Anybody else? What's your pleasure?
Can I ask him a question about his history, Sam, or we're going to focus right here on that?
No, go ahead.
You know, Jimmy, my question is, all these situations you've had in the past make it very difficult for the board, you know, for us to be lenient here, because there've been so many situations and issues about getting this thing fixed. They're dealing with this back in August, and now we're in July. It's almost been a year, and you haven't corrected these problems, you know. And you can say the guy went out of town, but I mean, that it's been almost a year, and if that keeps coming to you, that it's an issue, taking care of the customers is a priority. Otherwise, the county inspectors or the city inspectors just don't get involved if you take care of them.
Yeah, I agree. And the homeowner being home, that doesn't absolve you from not passing dry inspections, which you can't resolve now that you've gone ahead. I don't see any reason not to uphold this affidavit. In fact, I would recommend a longer suspension.
We're not up to that yet.
Right.
I used to pay my license. You might as well kill me. How I'm gonna support my family? Might as well take a gun and shoot me.
Way.
You know,
I
can't get a
shocked
job.
he-
I'm 70 years old. Who's gonna hire me? You know, so I got to work for
Jimmy,
that's not the public's problem.
Excuse Jimmy,
Yes.
do you have the CCC license?
Yes.
Okay, do you do continuing education then, right?
Yes.
Every 2 years?
Yes.
Did you do this year?
No, I haven't.
Did you do it 2 years ago? Be honest.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I think it was.
Okay, because those are great opportunities to learn stuff and you know, fine tune your skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, it bothers me too to hear the history of all the, you know, the issues you've had.
Right now, I'm going through some health issues and some personal problems.
I know who's you got to have a good man, a second man. You got, you know how it works. You got to have somebody you can trust that can, you know, look out for you when you're not there.
Yeah.
But this is not our job today is not to build a better business or to, you know, to help you with that. Our job is to figure out how to deal with this particular case.
Yeah, I'm willing to resolve the problem. What we have to do, though.
Jimmy, it makes it real tough. You don't have workers' comp
You know,
right
the
now.
structure of that house is, you know, it's very strange. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion on allegation. There's one allegation, right? Only one allegation allowing any violation of the code to go uncorrected for more than 30 consecutive days. Need a motion on that.
I make a motion to uphold the allegation.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I think personally the suspension should be longer.
That's not, we're not to that.
Not to the recommendation.
Allegation.
All right.
No discussion on allegation, hearing none. All those in favor of supporting finding him guilty of allegation number 1, which is allowing any violation of the code to go uncorrected for more than 30 days, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay. Recommendations.
I make a motion that the recommendations be affirmed. Citation 1, citation be affirmed as written. Number 2, a fine of 500 and a recording fee of be assessed. 4, the contractor's permitting privileges be suspended in Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, City of Plant City, and the City of Temple Terrace for 60 or more days, depending on this discussion. Number 5, the Construction Electrical Industry Board be notified on this board's actions.
Okay, that's the motion. To have a second.
Second.
Okay, that's Palavita.
All right, Danny, discussion.
Sir?
I said Dan is ready for discussion.
Go ahead. Any discussion on the recommendations?
Yeah, I think it's too lenient. There's dozens and dozens of violations that are known, and I don't see anything from the contractor today that makes me think he's knowledgeable enough to fix this. Unfortunately, that's not anything personal, man, but it's a scary track record.
Okay, so you try to offer a friendly motion to increase 60 to some other number?
I don't know how friendly it would come off.
That's what it's called in Robert's rules.
We've had recent precedent for suspending people's licenses for 6 months to a year for what I would imagine are lesser offenses than what is compiling here.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to extend that to how many?
6 months to a year?
No, pick one.
A year.
Okay.
I accept his recommendation in my motion.
Yeah, I don't want to, I don't like it. I don't like giving him a year of, I like the 60 days. And I like the fact that if we see him again, we know what we have to do, but I think 60 days is going to be painful enough for him.
Can we require CEUs as part of this?
We can require whatever is legal under the ordinance. So yes, you can require CEUs, you can do whatever you'd like to do.
Let me ask a question. I did notice the qualifier for your company has a registered contractor's license, but you personally have a state contractor's license. Did you notice the qualifier is an RC license number? Whose license is that?
That's mine.
The RC is actually a null and void license, and it was under his name, and it's null and void. And now it's been transferred to a CCC that's in his name. And there's also a CRC in his name, and an old one that is null and void. So they've done.
So once it's been updated, it's been improved.
The registered have been migrated through to the state over time.
Correct. Okay, so all registered licenses are now considered state license.
And then under 704, or whatever the bill was last year, we did away with local licensing. When the state did, when the governor signed that.
So did local licensing also have to do continuing education?
No.
Okay, so he's probably never done continuing education.
But he's been a CCC for years. It's only a month away. All the renewals are August 31st of even years.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been doing that online, the classes.
Yeah, but
you've been doing them?
Yeah, every 2 years.
A lot of people have other people do them.
Okay.
Huh?
Never mind.
So let's stay on track. So have a motion to increase the suspension. Do I have a second to that? Doug, did you agree with Dan on that?
Yes, sir. You got my second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to increase the suspension to 12 months. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Okay, can you poll us, please?
Yes. Sam Greenberg,
No.
Mike McEnany,
No.
Charles Foster,
No.
Dan Greenberg,
Yes.
Henry Mosley,
No.
James Palavita,
Aye.
Kathy Pratt,
Aye.
Doug Shields,
Yes.
and that makes 8, but we have one can't vote, correct?
Yes, who was the newest between Jim and Kathy?
Kathy would be our newer member.
So how many nays without Kathy?
4 nays and
No, I was an aye, so.
3,
Yeah,
without
but
Kathy.
Without you because you're
Got
the case. Yeah,
3 ayes
3 ayes.
and 4
Okay,
nays.
so that motion fails. Okay, so we're back with the original motion of the 60-day suspension or property being brought into compliance. Any other modifications you want to entertain?
Well, the owner won't let him comply, bring it into compliance? Is that correct?
They've never told me that. They said they're more than willing to have him just get the roof fixed, as they couldn't be here because of work.
Yeah.
And there is a little language barrier. I do have my translator that has been able to help me out sometimes, but they have never told me they don't want him back up there.
And what's all entailed by getting the roof fixed? Apparently stopping the leaks, fixing
Michael, if he's got dips in that plywood, he's gonna have to pull that roof off and fix the plywood. He may have to come in and put rafters, and I don't think all this is gonna happen. I think we're wasting our time here, personally.
So what do we do?
I would give him the time to the year, but it was knocked down. His history and his past, with his history and past, we have this situation out here on the streets all the time. And there's a lot of bad here, and I respect the man. I respect his hard work, but there's been a lot of negative stuff in his past, and not as recent as 2016. And now we're dealing with it again, and even more. And it wasn't responsive, and it doesn't need a slap on the wrist. He's going to have a hard time fixing this thing. He didn't realize what he got into when they tore the roof off. The crew didn't realize, hey, we got to do something different here, shift gears. And they put on a very inferior roof.
You guys are the roofers, looking to you for.
Well, this is Kathy Pratt. So how do we, should he have to present a plan of how he's going to fix it correctly to meet code?
That's what my question was, what all is entailed by, correcting the roof? Because you also mentioned there's fasteners going into the people's ceiling that penetrate the ceiling.
We would have to make a full inspection at the time. With the permit expired, I can't do an inspection on unpermitted work. We'd have to make a full inspection to see all the things that need correction. We can't tell him how he can correct it. We just tell him, here's the violations, and somehow you got to get it to pass inspection.
Because for all we know, we don't know if the roof is leaking today or not.
No, by the homeowner's account, they have leaks every time it rains.
Okay, well then that tells, then it's leaking. The roof's leaking.
But it sounds like the whole structure is inadequate for the type of roof that was installed. If you remove the thicker plywood or the other type of sheathing, that 3-inch stuff, I forget what it's called.
Armstrong roof decking.
Exactly. If you remove that and don't go back with that, no plywood's going to span the 5 feet unless it's 3/4.
But from what I looked at the pictures, it's a real low slope roof, but there's a pitch on, and one side of the roof looked to be fine. I mean, it appears, I don't see a lot of bleed out, and I don't want to get too technical, but the one side looks fine. The other side that's circled are the ponding areas. So there are some ponding areas. It's not like the whole roof is junk.
They'd have to get a permit. They'd have to come up with a plan. That's how the permit would be issued.
Well, what I'd like to see is give him a chance to fix it. And if he cannot and will not fix it, then I'm all for hanging him high, whatever you want to do. But I'd like to give him an opportunity to go back and fix it. If he can't fix it, then, and like Mr. Shields said, you've been up here, before. You say you're 72 years old, and I feel for you, but don't come up here no more. Do it right. Slow down.
I've been working here for 50 years in Hillsborough County.
Right.
I've done work for every people, all kinds of people. I've done roofs all over.
I have a motion and a second. Do you wish to modify the motion in any other ways other than what's been stated?
I'd like to give him an opportunity to bring it up to compliance.
Well, that's what we've done. That's what that motion does.
Okay.
And number 4.
And I'm a residential contractor too, license. I'm a builder. I built a bunch of houses here in Hillsborough County.
Okay. It says it's for 60 days or until property is brought into compliance. If he goes out next week and fixes the roof to where staff is satisfied that it meets code, he's all done.
What about the year suspending his license?
That's off the table. It failed.
Right. We're back to 60 days, Mike.
For 60 days.
If he's a residential contractor, then he ought to know if he's got 5-foot spans, he needs to come in with rafters. Someone like me, my license doesn't cover that. I got to bring in a general contractor to figure out how do I support this and bring it up to code and make it safe for wind lift and everything else. So that's his responsibility. If he's a residential contractor, then he ought to know all that. Then the 60 days ought to work. And Jimmy, you ought to get on it and you figure out what you got to do to support that roof. But you may have to pull that roof off and put it back. And it's up to our county inspectors to follow up on this and stay on top of it. Because that if he doesn't have the Armstrong roof decking, and it's almost impossible to get today, you got to go back with support, all kinds of stuff. And that's where we're at. I'll back the 60 days, but our inspectors got to follow it. But I'm on board for the 60 days if you want to do that.
Are you prepared to do that?
Yeah, we go.
Yeah, that's the motion.
Go out there and open it up again and do whatever we have to do, put it, you know.
And like Doug said, you know, we need the county's help to make sure he does whatever it is that needs to be done.
Then that's one of the things he needs to he's never once contacted us through all these different, we've sent notifications to 3 different addresses. He's also got to get a hold of Mr. Roman back here because the next board hearing, he'll be here again if he doesn't contact him, but he's been very unresponsive.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Oh, boy. I didn't know about that.
Okay. Motion. Second, we've discussed it to finality in my mind. Any other? Nobody else. All those in favor of the motion, which is to uphold 1 through 5 recommendations from staff, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay. 60 days. Get it done. Don't
Yeah.
wait till the 59th day. Start on it tomorrow.
We got to cooperate with the owner, let us work. And,
Oh.
you know, he wants to lift the roof up, but that's another.
You need to work that out with the
engineering,
owner and staff.
And the county.
Yeah, if you, I'll give you my card. If you contact me, I'll get with the owners. We can't tell them you have to lift the roof. They just have to allow you to fix the violations as of now and get the roof to where it doesn't leak and it passes inspection.
Yeah.
I can contact them, but you've got to contact
All right,
with
we'll
me.
contact you. We'll go out there, we both talk to him. And
I can meet you out there.
Okay.
and go inside the house and see.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. That's the last case. August post,
Sam,
ma'am,
may I get clarification on the first case we went over?
which case?
Landis Arroyo at 1605 Main Street, the homeowner appeal. You had said that it would be from the date that the order was signed, but will there be an order from this case if we're giving him 6 months to obtain a permit first? So there's no order, correct?
There'll be a letter written. We need to do something.
He's the homeowner, so we'll give him 6 months to obtain the
Travis.
permit. And if he does not get it within 6 months, he comes back to the board, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the intent.
okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Sam, this is Sheree. I do have a question about the motion in the last case. I just wanted to make sure I had it written down correct. Was it 60 days or until he comes into compliance?
Correct. That's what staff recommended.
Okay, so after 60 days, if he's not in compliance, then it sounds like he can be reinstated.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
You said 60 days or until he comes into compliance.
Right.
So my question is, what happens on day 61? Because you have an or there.
Well, staff put in or.
Yeah, so I'm just looking as a third party, but after 60, it sounds like he could possibly be reinstated without compliance.
On item number 4.
Yeah, the or is if he brings this into compliance before 60 days, then he could reinstate. My intention was for 60 days or until he comes into compliance. If that happens before 60 days, if it continues on after 60 days, that his license stays suspended until this property is brought into compliance.
That's not what it says.
Okay, so maybe we need to just clarify that. So you would say at a minimum 60 days? And if he brings, or something to say that if he doesn't comply within 60 days, his license is still suspended.
License is suspended a minimum of 60 days
Or
or indefinitely if he doesn't bring the property into compliance. And in any event, we want to see him again anyway. So, and he'd have to reappear before the board, right? Do we need to
If
vote
that's,
on that?
if you need a friendly motion on that, Mosley will make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That works, Sheree?
So I think so.
Okay,
So if he doesn't fix a roof, he's done.
he's done, right? But he's suspended, not revoked, is the difference. Suspended means you can continue with open permits. And we're going to
But he
discuss
doesn't,
that.
at this point in time, he doesn't have workers' comp. I mean,
Days.
Okay.
And maybe I was thinking of Sam, maybe 60 days and until he brings the property into compliance.
Okay. But failure to do so keeps him suspended and he has to appear before us anyway.
Right.
Okay, we're getting a lot of head nodding here. Proposed August meeting, do we need to discuss that? Do you have more cases coming next month? Kimber?
That is correct. We have confirmed with the communications team, we can have a hearing on August 24th at 8:30 a.m. if the board is agreeable.
But do we have workload to?
Yes, there are several cases that we've tabled until next month, as well as we have, Keith can give you an update, Chief Crockett.
And I know on the city of Tampa was on the news this week saying they're firing up the machine over there. So I guess we'll have more work to do.
Good morning, good afternoon, Keith Crockett. Yes, we have a heavy caseload, and then given the fact that the possibility of not having meetings towards the end of the year, we wanted to try to get some of these taken care of so we don't overwhelm the January meeting.
Okay, and we have issues with November and December for space here, I guess.
We haven't heard officially. We can only request dates 8 weeks prior to when we intend to have our hearing. So we really won't know till October.
Okay.
Kimber, can you clarify the agenda says 2 p.m. on the 24th? Is
It's
it
wrong. It should be 8:30.
Should be 8:38.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody doesn't like coming to this part of town in the afternoon. Won't point any fingers. In the special session, the governor signed Senate Bill 4D, which has to do with structural issues on HOA, condominium, and other types of buildings. There's a phone thing. Teams is, I don't know if it's this week or next week, that Heather's doing, Heather Tank through BOAF, as that unravels. What I saw, it's a 50-page bill, and it just changes on different types of buildings that are affected by that. So when we get more detail, we'll share that with you all y'all. We did send out the updated amendments to the Florida Building Code last week. Kimber assisted with that. Send them all out to all of you. Those are things that are being incorporated into the next version, which will be out next December. Anybody else? Thank everybody for their time. And at 3:34, we're adjourned. Thank you.